Hey everyone, Andang here for another Ask You Anything. For this episode, I'm just wondering what class you'd like to see next in LOTRO. For those that don't know, in a recent letter to the community, LOTRO has announced that there will be a new class coming to the game this year. And it does bring up the question, what should that class be? The obvious choice when going to a Corsair capital would be Corsairs, of course. It's might be a little bit weird, I know Corsairs are kind of a gray enemy in LOTRO's world. Some are heroes and some are not, but it still is kind of bending the lore the furthest out of maybe all the classes they've done so far, I feel like. And so that might be a reason LOTRO would stay away from Corsairs. Also, I'm not really sure how Corsairs would be any different than some of LOTRO's other classes. Sure, it would be maybe a little bit more agile than a champion, maybe a little more lighter weight melee class could be kind of interesting, I guess. Of course, there's also the more classic answer that people have been asking for years, which is the Ranger. But honestly, as far as a mechanical gameplay perspective, I feel like the Ranger would basically just be a champion with like a little bit of extra ranged hunter abilities, and then also added in with like burglar stealth abilities. And I feel like adding in a class like that would take away from the specialness of the burglar and the champion already. I suppose you could make the ranger be more focused as like a ranged stealth class, which would kind of counteract the burglar, but I don't see how that gets balanced in a way that makes them have high enough damage to do group content, but also low enough damage to where the stealth doesn't become a huge advantage in PvP type situations. Not to mention the idea that I think creating a ranger class would make rangers be a lot less special, and I really don't want to see that go away. And so I guess what I'm really trying to say is I don't want a new class to LOTRO. I think the Brawler was a really cool addition. I'm sure the LOTRO devs could still come up with something really interesting, but I feel like instead of making a new class really interesting, LOTRO might benefit more from really focusing on the classes it already has and making them be more special. I don't know if you guys remember, but every expansion until Helm's Deep had a class revamp that was significant, and it made the game feel fresh and interesting, especially some of the changes they did to like minstrels back in the day and captains back in the day. They did a lot of really big interesting changes that had the core class still feel the same, but really changed how they played and made it interesting and gave the game new life and breathed new life into classes that you were already familiar with, but gave them a different sort of twist without being too different to where you didn't want to play them at all anymore. And LOTRO did a really good job of that balance until Helm's Deep. With Helm's Deep, they introduced trait trees, and then we've kind of stayed with trait trees ever since. And that, I feel like, has been a huge mistake. I think it would be really cool if they added ultimates at the end of each trait line. Some already have a kind of ultimate skill, like the Sikkim skill for lore masters is pretty much an ultimate. But some of the other classes, like champions and guardians, don't really have that just wow factor skill at the end of their skill line, or quite frankly, anywhere in their skill line that's as cool as Sikkim. I really wish they'd create a skill like that for all classes. I think that that would be a much more worthwhile endeavor to really focus on making each of the existing classes unique and interesting to play again, instead of just creating something new. That's just my opinion, though. I'm sure you guys have a bunch of cool class suggestions. Let me know those in the comments down below, and I'll see you again real soon for another Ask You Anything.